A very happy Monday to you all. Welcome to Inside Tech Basketball, our weekly show where we thank you, Coach. Our weekly show where we get to visit with the head coach of our basketball programs here. First with head coach Brooks Dorr. I'm Kyle Roberts. Very excited to be here with you today. Coach, another tremendous homestand this week. There is something magical about the Thomas Assembly Center this year. Starting back with Thursday night, a Liberty team that came in ranked number 1 in Conference USA play. And down 10 going into the fourth quarter, and then just magic happened from there. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I thought we got off to a really good start in the first quarter. We have a lead. I thought we defended really well. Had some turnovers there in that second quarter, and then kind of let them get going. I didn't think our ball screen coverage was very good during that second quarter, and they took advantage of that and really they shot a high percentage, and we weren't getting stops that allowed us to get out and transition to score. And we needed to settle down, and we talked about it at halftime. We were able to show them some things and just kind of talk through a couple of things with our ball screen coverage, and I thought they responded beautifully. I thought Isla and Avery and Jordan really did a much better job in that second half when they came out and went back to it. We got some turnovers down the stretch against them in the fourth quarter. I thought our fourth quarter defense was tremendous.
Yes.
The way that this group closed out the game, we down 10, they never looked panicked. And we've talked about whether it was showing them film of themselves. We video our huddles so we can, I think they're great teaching opportunities and learning moments from that. And seeing their faces in some of the timeouts at different times of the year where they were very quiet and they weren't, talking to each other, and to see them, just locked in, and they knew that they could get stops. It was just a matter of doing it, and they went out and did it. And I looked at them and I said, "Hey guys, we just need to string together a few stops,
Yep.
and then let's go continue to score," because I felt like we had been even with them at that point. And we got 3 straight stops to start the quarter that led to a 7-0 run, and it was just like, okay, we got this. And then we take a lead, they come back. It's kind of, back and forth there. That last minute and a half was, thrilling in terms
Sure.
of we score, take a lead, they go down, take a 1-point lead, have a huge three-pointer coming out of a timeout. They advanced, and our team never flinched. They came back and executed out of the timeout beautifully, and then got a stop to seal the win.
Well, this is Liberty's second season in Conference USA, and we knew coming in, even last year, Coach, that the 2 players that we needed to make sure we're keeping our eyes on are Bella Smuda, 6'6", out of Pennsylvania, and Emma Hess, a tremendous shooter for this Flames team. And the 2 of them combined for 15 points, and I think Smuda did most of her damage in the first and second quarters.
The only field goal she made was the 3, the last,
Yep.
the three-pointer that she made out of the timeout. That was the only field goal she made, and I thought she got in foul trouble, but I thought we attacked her there in that first half. She picked up a couple of fouls, and that obviously helped us a little bit, but just never really let her get in the flow. But, I think the one, and I said it after the game, but the job that Gianna Morris did on Hodges on the ball really just kind of dictates. She's their engine. She makes them go. They've got great scorers. Hess and Smuda are really, big pieces of what they do. But I thought that the job that G did on Hodges really set the tone for our group. We had a possession that we were able to show and film the next day. Avery comes in, and sometimes it's hard to get players to understand that you don't come in and impact the game just on the offensive end. She comes in, the very first defensive possession, she dives on the floor for a ball. Then Sydney Thomas dives on the floor after it, and then Avery gets up and dives on the floor again. And you could just, we showed our bench, our whole staff's up, the players are up. It gets the crowd in it, but that's the toughness that we need to be playing with. And I just felt like from the get-go, that's what they were disappointed in our level of toughness and the way we competed in that fourth quarter at Sam Houston, and just didn't feel like that's who we are. And I felt like they set the tone with that. And it's just sometimes those plays like that, and it didn't involve a score at all, but it set the tone for our group, and I thought that was tremendous.
That win harkened, for me, back to the conference tournament a few years ago, playing Middle Tennessee, fourth quarter down double digits, and, almost the same exact narrative and storyline, Coach. The kids started to really believe in themselves. You could see it, and when that happens, the other team just really didn't know what to do.
Well, I think it's pretty impressive when you go back and you look Liberty had won 99 straight games when they led with 5 minutes to go.
Wow.
And that's impressive. That means that you've got an old, experienced team that knows how to finish games, and they had won 99 straight when leading with 5 minutes to go, and no longer.
Always happy to break streaks for sure.
Yeah, but just proud of the way they closed out that fourth quarter. What we get? We went 23-12. You know, I just, other than that second quarter where we gave up 24. I mean, we gave up a 12-point first quarter, a 12-point fourth quarter, and an 18-point third quarter, and just. We attack. I mean, we go 8 of 9 from the field in the fourth quarter, 2 of 3 from 3, and 5 of 6 from the free throw line. And we got great looks. We attacked the rim. We went right at them. We got space in. We got people in space. Got Smuda moving around, and I thought Paris Bradley was unbelievable during that stretch.
And
well, there she is.
Every time we say Paris Bradley on the show, she walks in. Paris with 13 of her 19 points in the fourth quarter the other night, including the game-winning shot.
I think she's beginning to like those moments.
That's right. Well,
we like her in them.
Yes. Yeah, laid it up with 2.7 seconds left, and you know, I sort of hung around and listened to a little bit during my break of the interview with their radio person and head coach.
Unbelievable team player.
Absolutely. And, you know, the way that she went in, I think for a brief second, Liberty forgot she's left-handed. And they gave her that lane to get to, and she laid it up, and it just dramatically
I don't know if
held
they gave her much. She created a whole lot. And, you know, sometimes, you know, and that was kind of a busted play. And you have to allow players to make plays. And, you know, she went and made a play. And she's not afraid of that moment. And, you know, I think the great thing is if you listen to her post-game interview with Victor and was Lynn on the call on Thursday?
Lynn was on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think there was something different on Saturday.
You know, she's talking about it wasn't about my bucket; it was about the team's bucket, and I just felt like I had to do what I was going to do, whatever I needed to do, in order for our team to be successful. And I love that about this group. They have a selfless mentality. And, you know, I think some great things can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit.
Well, and Gianna Morris, another player that. She played on over 37 minutes, by far the most minutes.
4 huge threes.
Yes.
I thought, you know, 6 rebounds, just really, you know, a solid performance.
Yeah, Gianna, like you said, 4 for 5 from 3. Didn't get to the free throw line. That's a little different for her. Normally, she's the one that's got the ice water in the veins down the stretch at the foul line. But that was Paris on Thursday night for sure. And so a great win, 67-66. Everybody was excited. We had a tremendous crowd. It was our celebration of National Girls and Women in Sports Day, and so we stress it in our pregame show just how important it is to have fans and students show up.
And I don't want to sound like I'm griping, but this group deserves to have people there. It is a little frustrating that there aren't more people there. They play their hearts out, undefeated in conference play. And if you can't get behind that group of young women, they're exceptional. They play with a lot of fire and a lot of passion. You know, I'm gonna beat on it until we fill that place up, but they deserve a great crowd.
Well, then fast forwarding to Saturday after that 67-66 win over Liberty, taking on an FIU team that when we went to their place at Miami earlier in the season, they used a long scoring run in the second quarter. Did not feel like they could get in any rhythm whatsoever against us on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought we got off to a great start. And sometimes you have an emotional win, you know,
less
than 48 hours before, and especially with a young team, like how do you quickly refocus them and not, you know, dismiss what you accomplished and make sure that they're aware of, hey, now we've been telling you this, and I think you've thought that you were capable of beating anyone. Now you know, hey, we can beat anyone in this league. We can also lose to anyone in this league when we don't show up and compete the way we're capable of. But I thought we got off to a great start. I thought we were attacking. You know, you go back to another play. We talked about the play with Avery and Sydney diving on the floor. Gianna dives on the floor. First, second possession of the game, a loose ball in front of our bench, and James dives on top of her, gets called for a foul, and I just thought that set the tone for us there too. And we got out in transition. You know, we scored the basketball really well, get 20 that first quarter. Thought we did a nice job defensively in that first half. Gave up 13 and 11 the first 2 quarters, and just really kind of controlled controlled things. Had one turnover, I think, in the first quarter, and
That
didn't
sounds
have
right.
another one. Didn't have our second turnover until about 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and then we finished the half with 9. So felt like we missed some. Still scored 16, but felt like we missed some opportunities to score. We got 8 fewer shots in that second quarter and shot 44%. If you get, even half of those shots, you're up, even bigger at maybe 20 at the half. But they came out. We knew they'd make a run, and you've got the nation's leading field goal percentage shooter, and they're big. And she is a grown woman.
She
I will
is.
say that. A
Sturdy
grown
gal.
woman. And we talked a lot about take away her left shoulder, and she does a great job of getting position. I thought we still played behind too much, and we've got to learn. Okay, this is twice we've played her now. We can't play behind. And as she starts to move into you, I thought, we needed to adjust to some fouls that were being called there in that third quarter. We didn't go to the free throw line the entire third quarter, which when you're in the top 10 in the country in free throw attempts, that's a rarity.
It's an outlier.
It is, and we needed to adjust, but I thought we missed some opportunities to get to the free throw line. I also thought, we got some great looks against their zone. They just didn't go down. We didn't shoot it as well from three, and, G and Paris both had a couple that went down and came out, and but I was good with the shots they were taking. I didn't think that we were taking bad shots. They just didn't go down. But then they responded. They made their run. They tied it, I think, at 53. We were up 2 going into the fourth. They tied it at 53, and Gianna comes down and nails a 3.
Yep.
And we never looked back. I think we finished on a 16-6 run. And, again, the way you close out games. And I thought it was really, really important for our group to do that. And, again, just great job at the free throw line, being able to close out games. I think we made 9
in a row.
9 in a row to
Yep.
end the game. And, that's what you got to do.
Yep.
And we got stops.
Yeah, I want to go back to Natabo, where we were talking about earlier. Like, I don't think people fully can grasp. Like, this woman
She's like
takes.
Shaq.
Yeah, right. I mean, making 71% of your shots in college basketball. I don't care what position you play. That is not a small feat. And she had a great night around the basket. But realistically, only her, maybe a couple more for FIU, were able to get anything offensively going.
Yeah, and they were going to her, and we felt like they rolled the dice with her with 2 fouls in the first half, and she picked up her third, and I thought that was big. And then she came out and didn't pick up a foul in the third quarter,
Right.
but somehow managed to play without fouling, and then we ended up fouling her out with about, I think, 4 minutes to go.
Yep.
And I thought that was big because that allowed us to do some different things defensively. But we didn't have an answer for her there for a while during that third quarter. I thought she was, getting to her spot, getting to position, and we had a couple of, fouls that were called that, maybe we've got to adjust to a little bit better. But I thought our group responded really well to their run. It's basketball. Teams are going to make runs. How do you respond in and out of those? And I thought the calls that were made, I thought Olivia and Scott made some really good calls out of timeouts and offensively, and out of, after timeout special situations, inbound, baseline inbounds and sideline inbounds. And I thought our players executed them beautifully.
Paris with 17 points for us that night with 4 assists as well. But Jordan Marshall, 16 points, 15 rebounds. She was all over the basketball when it was around the rim.
Yeah, this group is they respond. We watched some film on Friday of our rebounding on Thursday, where we allowed Liberty, their 4-player, to get too many offensive boards, and I think that Jordan doesn't say a whole lot, but she is constantly listening and constantly processing, and she made a conscientious effort to have a great day on the boards. And, she would tell you that. And 6 offensive, 9 defensive. I thought she had some huge defensive boards in that fourth quarter that, maybe that we might have given up in the past, and she went and got them and secured a possession for us. And so that's what we need. That's a pretty good day at the office right there. But we had 4 in double figures. That's great balance. We had even simple thing is Autumn Smith coming off the bench. And I told her in shoot around, look, I know you haven't played as much here recently, but you need to be ready to go today. I felt like the matchup, how they played, the style of play, our second day of the week, it's quick turnaround. Athletically, she matches up with what they do. could get in foul trouble. That happened to us when we played them the first time. You played a lot against them. Be ready to go. And she came in and had 3 rebounds, 2 offensive, and assist to Jordan. She got an offensive rebound, dumped it down to Jordan. Jordan gets an and one in that second quarter.
Yep.
And it's little plays like that are super important. It's conference play. Everything comes down to 1 or 2 possessions. And when you come in the game, how are you making an impact? Are you ready to go? Do you understand scout? And how can you help our team be successful?
The team was plus 12 in the rebounding category,
Huge.
Coach, plus 9 in offensive rebounds, and that's the difference maker there to me. 21 second chance points for us, just 10 for them.
And that's where they're really good.
Yes.
They are really good. They don't come down and execute a ton in the half court. They want to play in transition. They want to turn you over and get live ball turnovers that lead to transition, easy offense for them, an offensive rebound, put back, second chance points, and I thought we were really, really good. But again, it goes back to the plus 12, and then the 20 offensive rebounds. We'll take that.
Absolutely. Make your game day epic with a Pepsi. Sip on an ice-cold Pepsi while you cheer on the Bulldogs and Lady Techsters this season, or if you're here in the Student Center, grab you one as well. Pepsi is the official soft drink of Tech Athletics. When we come back, we'll take a look at the upcoming road trip that we'll be on, heading out to Kennesaw and to Jacksonville State. You're listening to Inside Tech Basketball on the La Tech Sports Network from Learfield. Oh, we're still going. Good. Welcome back to Inside Tech Basketball. Kyle Roberts alongside with the head coach of the Lady Techsters, Brooke Storr. Coach, 2 more home wins this past week. Now we get back to go out on the road, heading out to Kennesaw State first on Thursday night. This is a newcomer to Conference USA, and then we'll be at Jacksonville State in the northeastern portion of the state of Alabama. And so 2 winnable games for us, and obviously we want to take the momentum that we've just created this past week and get this on the road and pick up a couple of road wins.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking at one of the best scorers in the league in Princess Harden. I thought we did a nice job on her in the first game, but I know she'll be ready to bounce back at home. They were on the road last week, tough road trip to Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee, so I know they'll be prepared and ready to go. They're super athletic. They want to press. They want to get out in transition. We've got to do a great job of taking care of the basketball, keeping them out of transition, and then forcing them. You got to keep the ball in front of us. They're big. Griffin had a really good day against us. I think 17 or 18.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and we've got to do a better job of, especially in that second half, of just keeping them off the boards. I thought we gave up too many offensive boards. Barry is a dynamic guard, P4 transfer, old experience, but they've got a couple of players that can really score it. We've got to do a great job defensively as a team, and just really provide some help where we can and keep them off the glass.
They're another team that's good at home,
Yeah.
5-4 in home play, and they've lost 4 in a row, but it's been to 4 really stout
Yeah,
opponents.
I mean, they've lost at
At Liberty, at FIU, Western, and then Middle, all
Yeah.
back to back to
yeah,
back.
and then they also played of their 4 losses at home, Middle and Western, and I guess Liberty.
Yes.
Yeah. No, they hadn't played them
They've
for
not
the
played
second
them at
time
home
yet.
yet.
But they've played some good teams at home
Yes.
as well, so their home losses are 2.
Yeah, 8-14 overall. I think just throw out that overall
Yeah.
standing. We've got to come and show up here on
Well,
Thursday.
you know, and for us, it's okay. You address it. You know, you hadn't won one on the road in conference play. You've been super solid at home. The rest of it, everybody keeps asking, well, how do you win on the road? Well, you take care of the ball.
Yep.
You defend, and you rebound, and that gives yourself a chance. And you know, we've been in every one of those games and had chances to win in the fourth quarter at, you know, FIU, at Western Kentucky. You know, it's a 7-point game at Middle Tennessee. We miss 2 free throws, get a stop, and then miss a wide open layup, and you're, you know, in a 1-2 possession game right there. And for us, it's been the turnovers, and how do we eliminate those, and how do we minimize those? And we've got to do a great job of that this week. And for us, it's okay. You've played these teams once before. Okay, you beat them at home. That doesn't matter. Throw
Right.
those out the window. The 2 teams that you just beat last week at home, you lost to them on the road. So for us, it's got to focus on our process of take care of the basketball, get a shot every time down the court, and just to understand how valuable possession is. And we've got to keep them off the free throw line, off the offensive glass.
Won that one back on January the 18th, 83-71. We'll be tipping off with them again this Thursday evening, and then from there, it's a suburb in Atlanta, and so we just bus a couple hours to the west, and we'll get to Jacksonville State, which is in Jacksonville, Alabama. They were a newcomer to the conference last season, and so they very interesting with their rotation. They really don't have like a set 5 to 7. Like they just
play a
whoever
lot
they
of
can, they'll throw
people.
them out.
Yeah, they play a lot of people. They play really hard. I think they've been really solid defensively. They only give up 59 a game, and they don't score it very well, or haven't. But then they scored 70, 73 on us here. Because they hit 15 threes.
I was going to say they hit a lot of threes.
And, you know, we go back, and I didn't think we did a very good job in transition. We've got to make some adjustments as a staff and make sure that our players understand, you know, when to gamble and go after the ball, when to keep the ball in front of us. I thought they got downhill and forced rotations that allowed a couple of players that had their feet set, and you can't allow that. They shoot. It's a numbers game for them. They're going to shoot the three. I mean, they've taken 613 threes
That's a
on
lot.
the year, okay? And for reference, we've taken 194.
Right. So if they've got any look at it from beyond
And
the arc,
it's
they're
not
gonna
like
throw it
they're
up.
shooting 40%.
Right.
I mean, they're shooting
31.
30%. Yeah. So it's a numbers game. They're willing to trade 2s for 3s. We can't give up 15, obviously. And they hit a couple of tough ones, but we gave them too many early, easy ones open, and kind of got their rhythm going. But they're going to shoot them. Doesn't matter. And it's a tough matchup for our bigs because they've got to come out and guard Barnes and Rhodes out there. Rhodeson's only taken 1, but she can put it on the floor, and she'll shoot it from just inside the 3.
Yeah, nobody on this team averaging double figures, but like we said, they really spread that scoring around.
They do.
Everybody on here
They're a
is
threat.
Exactly. So
And they can have big games. They've had a number of different leading scorers in games throughout the season. They lost a tough one on Saturday in overtime at Western Kentucky, so they're going to be ready to go. They had 2 tough games last week, and they know that they've got to try to protect home court, and they've been pretty solid at home as well.
how about as a coach, when there's not really an identified, here is the quote-unquote star on this team, like you're having to kind of prep for, we don't know what the rotation is going to be.
Well, you got to understand personnel really well. I think the one thing that is very certain about them is they have certain players that do certain things, and they have certain players that can't do certain things.
Right.
And you've got to understand the importance of playing that person for their personnel and their player tendencies. And we've got to have a great day from a scouting aspect and concentration and effort standpoint. But I think for us, it started in transition. that it caused some rotations. We allowed some downhill drives and maybe gambled in the backcourt a little bit and allowed some penetration that forced rotation, that gave up some threes. And we've got to do a better job with that. But I think this group is ready. I think their mentality, they've got to have confidence from last week. They know that they can compete and beat anybody in the league, but they also understand that if we don't show up and compete the way we're capable of, that we can lose to anybody in this league. I think that's just a given for all of us. But I'm excited to see this group go out on the road. I think they've got great energy. I love their energy and their passion for each other. They celebrate each other really well. And it's February. This is the time of year where teams either really start to come together or they start to splinter and break apart. And the signs that we're seeing from this group are very encouraging, and they're just fun to be around.
Won that previous game 80-73. Again, this week we'll be tipping off at Kennesaw State Thursday at 6 p.m. and then Saturday at 2:30 p.m. at Jacksonville State. Both of those games are going to be on the road. Coach, last quick thing, and then we'll break up and hand it over to Malcolm and Talvin. Outright fourth in conference play right now. And so at 6-5 with the conference record, that's why those games this weekend were so critical to get. I know it's early, but, if you think about a major, it's usually that Saturday that we call, quote-unquote, moving day, and that's why it's so important right now for us to get these 2 wins. We don't want to get in that 7-10 range because that's the, quote-unquote, play-in games this year. But I know right now being fourth and it's especially getting those 2 wins this past week, it's got to be feeling really good, and we're building some momentum heading into the home stretch.
Yeah, and it's about showing up today and being focused on what we have to do in order to prepare to be successful on Thursday and Saturday. And I know this group will, and we'll take care of their bodies and be smart about what we do after 2 physical games. And we had 2 hard practices on Monday and Tuesday. We got after them and challenged them a little bit, and I thought they responded beautifully. And we'll be smart about what we do. But it's that time of year where you can't go super long. You've got to be really sharp when you're out there and make sure that you're getting up your shots and getting off your feet.
Graphic Packaging International has been a longtime partner of Tech Athletics. Graphic Packaging crafts innovative packaging solutions that meet the needs of your market and resonate with your consumers. Their diverse portfolio caters to every need from efficiency to design. You can visit graphicpkg.com to learn more about Graphic Packaging International, official partner of Tech Athletics. Brooks Store, thanks as always for the time that you give us during these weekly coaches shows. With that, we'll take a break, and when we come back, Malcolm Butler and Talvin Hester to talk Bulldog basketball. This is Inside Tech Basketball on the La Tech Sports Network from Learfield.
Thanks, Kyle.
Tech basketball. We're live here at the Louisiana Tech Student Center. Malcolm Butler joined by Bulldog head coach Talvin Hester as Louisiana Tech went on the road this last week. Talvin probably gosh, got to be the toughest trip in Conference USA, right? Go to Liberty and then down to Miami and back over. But your Bulldogs went 1-1 on the week. Was able to go back. I wasn't with you guys, but able to go back and watch the Saturday win over FIU. I thought that was probably the Bulldogs' best performance by far on the road in conference play this season. Obviously, resulted in a W.
No doubt it was. I mean, I just felt like we followed the game plan, and I was conscious, and me and the staff wanted to get them enough rest because it can be taxing going and then playing an early game on Saturday. So we tried to turn on our mental scouts as much as possible, got them in early, practiced when we were tired, and then got them off their feet. So.
You gave A.J. Bates his first career start, freshman out of Houston, Texas, who's been getting more and more minutes for you. You talk about responding in your first career start. 40 minutes, he played the entire ball game, career high 19 points, had 7 assists, which was one more than Sean Newman, who's ranked second in the country in assists per game. 4 rebounds, 3 steals. A.J. had one of those games where he just kind of stuffed the stat sheet and he was really good for you.
No doubt. He just played within himself, and if you understand what we taught and what we teach and practice every day when we prepare for games, he did the things we asked him to do, and kudos to him for being a freshman and be able to lock in on what the game plan is, and he was really good at it that day.
Amari Abram has been getting the defensive assignment on the best offensive player on the other team, and he's had some games this year where on the offensive end he may not have shot it as well as we know he's capable of, but he started coming on again. 20 points in this ball game, shot it really well. 4 of 6 from the 3-point line. That's a guy that can really help you on both ends of the floor. Looked like he had one of his better performances.
Yeah, we're trying to simplify it for him, and that's what his goal has been to do. Defensively, he's kind of made his mark on who he is. Offensively, trying to find his spots on the floor where we know he can be successful. He's bought into that, and you can start seeing that. I knew he wouldn't shoot the ball bad in conference for long. He just had to, pick his spots and kind of figure the conference out, and he's doing that.
FIU has been a place. I remember last year we went down there and shot the eyes out of the ball down there. The game was over by halftime. It was about a 30-something point lead. It has been a place that Louisiana Tech here in recent years has really played well at.
Well, in the last 2, I understand that, but before that, to my knowledge, we haven't been really good. We're 3-something there.
Well, you've got the secret ingredients then as the head coach.
I don't know if that's the truth. But when you have, they press and they bring a lot of pressure, and we had a good point guard this year. And last year we had Isaiah Crawford who helped bring the ball up, which is not many 4 men. They're going to stay in front of him. And this year we put 2 point guards on the floor at the same time to make sure we had enough ball handling, and it just turned out that it worked.
And we've talked about that. You've been putting, either 2 or sometimes as many as 3 point guards on the floor, and you really like that combination.
No, I do. I like not turning the ball over. and we kind of struggled at it at times in this game, in the FIU game. We were atrocious at Liberty and turning it over, especially at the wrong times. But when we can get 2 point guards out there and facilitate and move the ball around with multiple people, it just makes us a little harder to guard. When it's you just have to focus on one guard, whether it be Sean, AJ, Jordan, whoever it might be, and then they can take them out of the ball game. We have 9 playmakers out of there with them. Then we're a little easier to guard that way.
It's always obviously hard to win on the road, but you got off to a great start. You never trailed in this ball game. FIU obviously never led, and you're up by 15 at halftime. Just talk a little bit about the importance of getting off to such a good start, especially on the road.
With them, it's paramount, and that's because at the end of the day, they can suck up big leads, and so you don't want to be playing a 3, 4, 5 point ball game with them. Then they turn you over 3 or 4 times in a row with their pressure. So for us, it was about taking care of the ball and finishing shots at the rim, not taking a bunch of long shots that they can turn into transition points. And I thought we did that, which we needed, because in the second half they came out on fire and cut the game, I think, to 7, and then it took everything we had inside of us to kind of withstand their little push that they made, and then try to kind of create separation in the game again. And so I was glad we got out to a start. And I was glad AJ was playing so well. Sean struggled a little there for a minute, which AJ kind of balanced us out. and with Amari playing well, we were always able to keep two guards on the floor that could really do something.
You know, I've always been intrigued. A lot of times in conference play, it's so much about matchups, right? And Louisiana Tech may match up really good against an FIU, and then FIU matches up really good against, say, a Sam Houston. But then Tech doesn't necessarily match up against Sam Houston. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but it's really intriguing when you get into conference play so many times how matchups play into these things.
Oh, it's everything in sports. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you're all good, bad, or indifferent. You're going to be known for something, and you know, sometimes teams or their style or what they do is counter to what you do, and so you just have to be able to kind of find a way to win games, especially when you add the home road component to it. But we just want to be consistent in the things that we can control, and again, that's defensively, and we have to keep growing in that area and be better there.
What's the most difficult matchup do you think for Louisiana Tech in Conference USA?
You know, I don't know because there's so many contrasting styles. You know, you got Liberty's offensive style, and I know everybody talks about their defense, but I think their best defense is their offense. But then you got UTEP, who presses and denies everything everywhere all over the floor. Then you got, you know, Middle Tennessee, who kind of just can beat you up and be physical with you, and offensively they're really good. You know, I don't think I know the answer to that. We've had success against all of them at times. I think it's a matter of us being the best version of us that we can be. You know, we've had success against Liberty. We've had success against UTEP in the past in that style. I think it depends on your personnel. And we're a little younger than we were last year. Of course, we have 4 grad transfers. We're able to handle changing situations, game time, making adjustments. This year we're a little less experienced than we were last year, and we struggled with that.
The first time these two teams played in Ruston, their big guy did not play. I'm not even 100% sure how to pronounce his last name, Vinny Salachom. If I remember, he was out. He did play in this ball game. Didn't really seem to affect Daniel Bacho too much. 17 points for Bacho, and the Salachom only had 5 points, only 2 of 9 from the field. Just talk a little bit about the matchup between those two in this ball game.
Well, I think they weren't looking for the matchup with Bacho as much as trying to get A-Bar to the 4 position and being able to create a mismatch with him because he's 6'11", and then they could move him to where our 4 men would have to guard him instead of him playing the 5. And he did. I mean, he had 13 points. He was 1 of 3 from 3. He's 5'11", and so I think that's the matchup they wanted. We kind of prepared for that, understanding that he would play and that they would probably move A-Bar to the 4. And I think, you know, he looks a lot like our guys at that position, long and kind of lean at that position. So I think we were able to match up with him just fine.
You know, a lot of times this year you obviously are really good at giving your assistant coaching staff credit on their scouting reports or whatever it may be. We haven't focused a lot on this coach's show talking about your assistant. So let's spend a little bit of time doing that right now if you're okay with it. Just talk a little bit. Let's start with Winston Hines and just the job he does and kind of maybe what some of Winston's strengths are as a coach.
He understands everything. Like he's so headsy in the scouting reports and personnel and understanding what teams want to do, giving me options and creating. I think all my assistants are giving me options and ways that we can attack other teams, ways we can stop them. And then I think because of his experience being an associate coach, he understands the day. What am I trying to say? The schedule of the day and what day it is of the week and what we need to be doing as a team, and kind of being bold enough to tell me we need to dial it back today or we need to do a little more today. And so with him being there and having some experience, kind of being the guy next to the guy, it's really helped us.
Darshawn McClellan, he's been with you both these years. Just talk a little bit about Darshawn, who works with your post players.
Yeah, again, scouting, I think he's on point with that, but he's been dominant with helping our big men. I think that at this level, you don't get big men that are ready-made. There's very few times you get guys that look like Daniel Bacho, and you have to develop them. And I think when you have somebody that can sit and develop those guys one-on-one, I think, you know, in my career, my 20-plus years of doing this, he's one of the best I've ever seen at working with big men, develop them, communicating with them in the sense that they're different. I don't know if it's because he was a big guy back in the day or what. Do they have a different language? I don't know. But he's done a great job at that, you know.
Tim McGraw, he was at your press conference when you were announced that you were the new head coach at Louisiana Tech. I know you guys have a long relationship. Just talk a little bit about Coach McGraw and his value to this coaching staff.
You know, he always brings a positive light in things, and it's so crazy. You wanted somebody that's been a head coach on your staff to kind of help you with those things. But it's so crazy because when he was a head coach, he wasn't giving me the positive stuff. he was yelling every 5 minutes. He was screaming and yelling, and so it just gives me the positive side of things, and always kind of letting me know little things and what's important for the team at this time of year, what we need to be focusing on, things of that nature. Just putting me in his head when he was a head coach, and sometimes I can be stubborn. Sometimes I can say, okay, I understand that applies. Sometimes I can be like, that doesn't work for us at this level. But he keeps coming. He doesn't. There's never a time where I give him information that it shies him away from doing his job.
Well, and he always seems to be overly positive with the players too. Now that he's not the head coach,
Yeah.
he can play good cop, right?
First time in 40 years or something, he can play good cop.
There you go. Caven Gilder Tilbury's been with you for a couple of years, young guy. Just talk a little bit about Caven.
Again, he's young enough to. He just played pro ball. Like, he just retired less than 4 years ago from being a pro, and I think his angle on being able to understand the way he articulated his learning process as a player to scouting reports and to our team, being a voice to them that I think they look up to. In a sense that he kind of can give them the blueprint of what it takes. I think that's really big on the staff. I feel like I'm young, but they look at me like I'm Santa Claus, like I'm an old
ancient,
guy.
yeah.
We're ancient. So his voice really helps in the transfer my message into what the team actually needs, and that they understand his language that he speaks to them.
And then your newest member of your coaching staff this year, Tyson Batiste.
Another young guy who can speak their language, but also Tyson is dynamic in the sense that, and I say these things not like they all don't do them, but it's dynamic with our guards and working with them individually, one-on-one, kind of keeping their heads at bay. But it's not like Winston didn't work with the guards last year. That was his job, and he kind of handled the guards and those things. But, as we move on, you guys are guys like Tyson who just kind of become the whisperers to different positions and what they do. And to be honest, I think all of these guys are going to be head coaches. All of them aren't scared of confrontation. I think you have to be that as a head coach because players will test you to see if you really run the program. And I think these guys understand what I want. They're an extension of me. They help me out a lot, and they're not scared to do the tough things like discipline guys and hold guys accountable and actually tell guys the truth.
Well, and I think it would be amiss if we didn't mention, your three GAs that you
No
have
doubt.
this year who I think do a great job, and your manager, Lucas. All four of those guys, I've seen them on the road, and I know there's a lot of dirty work behind the scenes that they've got to do when it comes to film breakdown and so forth.
No doubt. I always tell them that their best thing they could do as GAs is to snuggle up under the head coaches in the sense that stay in their offices as much as possible, as learn as much as possible that you can learn from them because, they might not get to spend as much time with me, but they get to spend time with those guys, and those guys are really good. And those guys are the ones that kind of keep this program going as far as behind the scenes. When I'm doing things like this, talking on the radio, these guys are the worker bees, and they're behind the scenes making the honey. And then we'd be all remiss to not talk about Brooke, how she lets us coach basketball, and she takes away all those other things from us so we can actually concentrate on basketball. I don't worry about if the plane or the bus is going to be there. I don't worry about if the food's going to be there. I can actually spend all my time preparing as a basketball coach because she's a champion in her role.
Well, and if the food's not there, you're not the one that has to get after them. You got somebody who's taking
she
care
gets
of that.
after 'em, all right.
Exactly. Just a few years ago, it seems like a few years ago, I can't remember the timeline, you were only allowed to have 3 full-time assistant coaches. Obviously, that a rule has gone away now. Just talk a little bit about the value in being able to add 2 more positions.
It's helped, to be honest, because one of the things that's a struggle is, I just got asked a question by one of the players yesterday. How do you balance your team and recruiting? We were in the airport, and he asked me, and I said, it's become a little bit easier. Back in the day, you had 3 assistants, and so you wanted those at practice because your team has always been the most important. Now when you got other guys that you can call assistants on the road with you, you're sitting out there with 5 guys basically that you can say can go out and recruit. Now I can afford to have 2 guys go on the road and recruit while we still take care of our team. Now I can have a guy leave and say, Coach, I'm going to miss practice today, and we can still be great to our team, whereas used to be if 2 guys were on the road at a time, you had 2 guys back being able to coach the team, and that's really hard. And so it's changed. That's one of the rules I feel like it's changed for the better, and all the rules I think have changed for the worse. That one has actually helped, I think, college basketball.
Agreed. Louisiana Tech Athletics is proud to call these businesses their home team partners. If you're wanting to build your dream home, contact Hurd Construction. Contact Bayou Overhead Door to find the perfect garage door. And for all your roofing needs, call Hurd Roofing. Work with a team that supports our team, Hurd Construction, Bayou Overhead Door, and Hurd Roofing. Proud partners of Louisiana Tech Athletics and members of the La Tech home team. When we come back, we'll have more of Inside Tech basketball on the La Tech Sports Network from Learfield. Ball, Malcolm Butler, joined by Louisiana Tech head coach Talvin Hester. And Coach, this road trip started up in Lynchburg, Virginia. Not an easy place to get to. But Bulldogs, not their best effort. Played really good against Liberty here at home earlier this year in that victory. I remember talking to you after the ball game was over, how pleased you were with Bulldogs' defensive performance in that ball game. Talk a little bit about the differences in the two matchups against Liberty.
Well, one is they're at home and they get a chance. When you're comfortable with those rims with a team that shoots it like that gives them confidence. And then they got, the sixth man, which is their crowd behind them. But Richie McKay does a great job. You expect a great coach like that to adjust and have some wrinkles and some things that they did. But I still think that when you're on the road, there becomes a focus that you have to have to win games and to be more locked in. I thought we lacked that, and I'll take the blame for that. But we didn't really follow the scouting report. We didn't do the things that made us successful here, and weren't locked in. And when you compound that with you're not shooting the ball well, when you compound that with you're turning it over, and those things, you just don't give yourself a chance. We fouled them at times and put them on the free throw line. We gave them open threes off things that are just things we've been working on since July. We just didn't play a good basketball game. I mean, we played in spurts. We got it down to, I think, 11 or something, 12. We were on a run, but then when we subbed, we weren't locked in coming into the game, and then they pushed the lead back. And so we just have to be more solid, more fundamental, lock into what works, and keep it going. We've done that against them before. I mean, it's not like we hadn't beat Liberty in our time here. Heading up there, we were 2-1 against them. So we just didn't have the focus that we need to have, and I'll take the blame for that.
Just looking at the box score and the box score alone, and this box score reminds me a little bit of that UTEP game out in El Paso, right? You look at points off turnovers, 24-2. and that's, when you lose by 24 and you're minus 22 in points off turnovers, I mean, basically that's your ball game. I know there's a lot more that goes into it than just that, but 16 turnovers for Louisiana Tech, and they converted those into 24 points.
No doubt, we only made them turn over 4 times.
Yeah.
To tell you about the lack of pressure that we had against them, like us not guarding, us not being who we were. We talk about attitude and effort where we lag. I can't say our attitude's right, because when we had a good group in there, we came in off the bench, and you got to have that right attitude to go in and fight. But our effort wasn't there, and we know that by the numbers.
So you look at the conference standings now, and it's still kind of muddled. Jacksonville State won another 2, so they got a 2-game lead in first place right at 9-2, although they are going out on a road trip this week, which one of those will be right here in Ruston, Louisiana, against the Bulldogs on Saturday. But then you've got Liberty and Middle Tennessee, both 7-4. You've already beaten Middle once this year. You split with Liberty. UTEP 6-4 on the season. They still have to come to Ruston, Louisiana. And then, of course, the Bulldogs and Kennesaw State sitting at 6-5. New Mexico State at 5-5. Western at 5-6, and then FIU and Sam Houston down at 2-9 and 1-10. So a big homestand. I know every homestand, every game in conference play is critical, but you've got both Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State coming into Ruston this week. Those were 2 teams that both were able to prevail over Louisiana Tech by 2 points earlier this year on the road. Let's start with Kennesaw State and talk a little bit about the Owls. They've got a couple of really elite scorers at the guard position. Just talk a little bit about those 2.
I'm excited to get them at home. There was a sour taste left in my mouth. We went there. I don't think we played exceptionally well, but we gave ourselves a chance to win. We were shorthanded. We didn't have Jordan Crawford or Al for the most part, and so we didn't really have our group on that road trip. And I'm excited about this. And what I can say is, at the end of the day, I think I don't know who for who, but I think this is championship weekend for somebody. This is going to create separation or give other people losses, either knock them out or bring everybody back to the pack. And so this is going to be an important weekend for Conference USA.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville State at 9-2, and they've got to go to Sam and Ruston. They lose both those games, and you're able to take care of business. All of a sudden, you're a game out of first place.
Exactly.
And so all of a sudden, going into the home stretch of conference play, it gets a lot closer. Cottle and Woolley, 2 really elite scorers. I thought in the game at Kennesaw, Louisiana Tech did a pretty good job against Woolley, the freshman. Cottle was really the one that hurt the Bulldogs on the road.
Yeah, he hurt us on the road, and I'll take some of the blame for that. There were some adjustments I think we'll make this game on him to guard him. I thought it wasn't bad. I don't think we guarded him bad. I think we were okay with some of the points he was scoring and the way he was scoring. He can get going from the three-point line, and he did not do that against us. He had a couple timely ones and big ones, but we were pushing to the rim. I thought we did a poor job of protecting the rim when we got him there and being able to attack. But I really thought our worst job was our defensive rebounding. We gave them second chance points and a few transition points that ran out, which in a 2-point game, those things kill you, So like I said, I'm looking forward to another shot at them and being able to come home and protect our home court.
Yeah, they had 13 offensive rebounds in that ball game. The other thing that I remember from that game, a couple of big physical guys inside that really eat up a lot of room. And I thought Andre Weir is one of those young men, and I thought he did a pretty good job. Although you look down and Bacho had 23 and 7 in that ball game, but Weir is a real big physical guy inside.
No, he is, and I was probably screaming my lungs out because he was so physical. I thought Bacho should have went to the free throw line a lot more. And, it's hard to argue that when he has 25, but at the end of the day, I just feel like call the game as it should be called, not as you think it should be as it's go. But we'll prepare for that. Like, I think Bacho's up for the challenge on Weir coming back here. I think that at the end of the day, like you say, you throw the ball up and you give yourself a chance to win. I thought we gave ourselves a chance. Just thought we came out on the losing end of it that time.
And then you got Jacksonville State in here on Saturday. I know you guys are all focused on Kennesaw, but if we look back and remember that Jacksonville State game, that was a 63-61 Jacksonville State win. Sean Newman had a really good look from 3, basically at the buzzer, that could have won it for Louisiana Tech in that ball game. The thing that I remember from that ball game that was just so, I'm going to use the word unique and leave it at that. I mean, Louisiana Tech only shot 2 free throws in the entirety of that ball game, and you just don't see that in Division I basketball.
No, especially when the team that plays inside out. I mean, it's hard to say that you're getting the ball to a big man a whole game and then he only shoots 2 free throws. It's almost impossible for that to happen, but that's my opinion also. And so, like I said, another team that we want our shot at. I think that they did their job and protect their home court. I don't think we were at full go. Not to say that if you add bodies, you win. You don't know that. But I would like our whole team to be there. I mean, it's been very few games that we've had our whole team. Even this last road trip, we didn't have our whole team, and so just able to protect our home court is important. Able to be prepared when they get here, able to keep fighting for a championship. That's what we're going to be about this weekend.
You know, Jacksonville State's got a very elite scorer as well, and Jerron Pierre. He was held to 14 points the first time these two teams met. Obviously I'm a box score watcher. Every week I'll look at the box scores and see, even when Louisiana Tech's not playing teams in conference play, it seems like Ron House has really started to come on for them recently, at least on the offensive end when I've looked at box scores.
No, really good freshman.
Yeah.
Really good freshman. You could argue that he's as important as Woodley in the freshman argument in this league, and I think he's up there for the argument freshman of the year. You talk about a freshman that's the point guard on the best team in the league at this point. You could throw stats out the window at that point. I mean, he's leading a team, and that's so hard for freshmen to do. That'd be like a rookie quarterback going to the Super Bowl. And so at the end of the day, he's a really good freshman. He's been growing with his confidence, but this league makes you do that. As you saw from A.J. Bates this weekend, it makes you have to step up if you want to compete for a championship. And so we're going to have our hands full with him and Pierre and those guys down there, especially their defense, the way they guard.
Well, the Bulldogs will be at home Thursday night against Kennesaw State. That's a 6:30 tip-off, and then Saturday afternoon against Jacksonville State. That's a 3 p.m. tip-off. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up live on Inside Tech Basketball on the Lon Tech Sports Network from Learfield. Malcolm Butler joined by Talvin Hester and Coach. Again, an important week in Conference USA, important week for Louisiana Tech. And if the Bulldogs can take care of home business at home, which they've been really good at doing this year, you could be sitting only a game out of first place after this week. You stressed earlier on the show just about the importance of this week across the entirety of Conference USA.
No doubt. I think this is a make-or-break week for a lot of teams, and you'll see separation this week. You'll see teams that will be able to move up in the standings, teams that might come back to the pack, or teams that separate themselves altogether. And so we just want to be in the fight going down the end of the month. So we're going to do our best job to take it a game at a time, prepare for these games, and try to execute like we need to.
Well, you got Kennesaw State Thursday, Jacksonville State Saturday. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank Coach Brookstore and Kyle Roberts for their time today talking Lady Texter basketball. Also want to thank Kane McGuire and Kevin Alvarez, our strategic communications specialists, and today's engineers Elton Taylor and John Tabor, George Brandon and his group here as well. Reminder, the Bulldogs in Kennesaw State Thursday. That's a 6:30 p.m. tip-off from the Thomas Assembly Center. Well, that'll just about do it for today's edition. We'll talk to you Thursday from the TAC. For Talvin Hester, I'm Malcolm Butler saying so long, everybody.